Let's break away right now to bring you some breaking news. And in the past couple of moments, Crystal Palace has announced that Roy Hodgson will leave his role as manager at the end of the season. His final game in charge will be at Anfield against Liverpool on Sunday. It will be his 162nd competitive match in the Palace dugout. Before that, of course, he has one final home game and one final game in front of a reduced Crystal Palace support. We got some quotes in from Roy. He says, after more than 45 years of coaching, I've decided that now the time is right for me to step away from the rigours of top-flight Premier League football. So our final two matches will be my last ones as manager of Crystal Palace. It's been a particularly rewarding period of my football life and career to have able to spend these last 4 seasons with Palace. I now feel that at the end of another successful season in which we have secured our Premier League status, the moment is right for me to step down from my responsibilities of being a full-time manager. I've had so much support from my wife and family throughout my career, and I've been contemplating this decision for some time, and now I believe the time is right to consider them and to see what the future holds for me. He goes on to say, I've really enjoyed my time at Palace. I've been privileged to work with an outstanding group of professionals and dedicated players, most of whom have been with me throughout the 4 years. A manager is only as good as the players who perform on the pitch. I've been fortunate that those in my charge have certainly given me that, and I thank them for it. I'm sure I speak for all the players, my coaching staff and backroom team when I say I'm proud of the work we have done to retain our Premier League status. I would also like to thank our chairman, Steve Parish, his partners, David Blitzer and Josh Harris, and sporting director, Dougie Friedman, for all their support over the years. They gave me an opportunity to return to my hometown club, and I've always felt we were singing from the same hymn sheet in trying to achieve our goals. I can only wish them all the very best of luck for a successful future, and I'm convinced that the club will go from strength to strength. Let's get some immediate reaction. Neil, as a manager. Roy Hodgson deciding now is the time to step down. It's certainly been a long career. What do you make of that news?
Well, I don't think it's a surprise, is it, to us? I think there's been snippets in the press during the season. He's been asked a few times about it. Behind the scenes, away from the media, I've heard that he might have been thinking about calling it a day. And what a terrific career he's had. Clubs he's managed internationally as well as in different leagues around the world. Brilliant job he's done at Crystal Palace, 4 years in the Premier League. Leaving him in a good place for next year. Interesting his quotes there, Rob, just saying about the rigours of the Premier League. Does that mean he's not said he's stepping away from management completely? He just talked about the Premier League. Does that leave it open for him to do something else in world football? We'll have to see. But a great servant to the game, a very, very humble man, a great guy. And leaves Palace in a good place. And it'd be interesting now to see where Palace go next. And I personally like to see them go another British manager. I'm sure Eddie Howe, is he going to Celtic? Is he not? Would be in the mix for that one. Also, someone like Frank Lampard, maybe, who's talked about returning to management next season, might be in the mix as well.
Yeah, he started his managerial career all the way back in 1976, Simon, when two of us weren't even born. I won't say which two, but I think it's easy to guess. It's an incredible career. He's going to be 74 in August. It's a career that's taken him through Scandinavia, into Italy, of course, Switzerland, and also the Premier League and England international as well. You wonder at his age what's even driven him this far, but it's that love of football, isn't it?
Must just be purely down to that, Rob, yeah. The love of football for all those years. I haven't been a manager, Neil has, so to know if you're going to be in the game for 45 years managing football teams is incredible. What an achievement. And to go on and manage internationally and do it with England, and had some success as well. I think I've heard from a lot of players who've spoke to him and said he's just been a great manager, very good coach on the field. Yes, we can talk about the style of play and defensively at times and wanting to counter-attack teams, but it's worked for him emphatically, really, to keep a team like Crystal Palace in the Premier League comfortably as well, season in, season out. Neil alluded to it, it's very important this season that they get the next appointment right, because we've talked about the players that are out of contract there. Going to be a huge overhaul, really, in terms of their squad and the players that might be coming in. But I'm just pleased the timing was really, really good from the football club to do it today with the home game tomorrow against Arsenal, to really give them a send-off. I know it won't be full, but the amount of fans that are going to be there are going to be absolutely delighted to say their thank yous to Roy.
Yeah, but before we get on to the future, what drives you as a manager, Neil? What has driven Roy Hodgson, especially, I don't want to be rude to Roy, but especially at his age now? I mean, he's done everything in the game. He's been to the pinnacle, yet he still feels that burning desire up until this point to be in a dugout week in, week out.
Well, a couple of things, Rob. I don't know how he's done it for this long. I certainly will not be managing at 74 at any level, even park football. I just don't know how guys do it. Passion and the winning mentality. That's what it'll be. You know, having that euphoria of winning a game of football. When you set a team up and you have sleepless nights thinking about team selection, tactics, conversations with owners about them trying and want you to play certain players or sign certain players, and you stick to your guns and you get success, that's what makes you want to do it, gives you that hunger to want to do it. He's just well respected all round Europe, all around the world, isn't he? But for winning games of football, to get to 74 or almost 74 is some achievement. Like I said, I certainly won't be doing it at that age.
He's had 20 permanent jobs, Simon, during his career in 4 countries. And Roy Hodgson, with his knowledge of football, he can most probably name every player that he's had under him in that time. The knowledge and experience he has amassed, do you think we'll ever see... you've managed 4 countries, I should say. The knowledge and experiences amassed, will we ever see the like again? Will anybody go on for that long, do you think?
I'm not sure. I think he was a one-off, to be honest, Robert. Moving forward, I think it'd be an interesting one. If he still does love the game as much as we've heard he does, and the amount of years he's put in, I mean, who could begrudge him if he wanted to step away and just spend time with the family and just watch football as a fan? But I think any football club or even an international setup would be grateful to have him on board as a director and advisor, something like that. You know, we've seen Steve McLaren go in at Derby. Those managers who have been on the touchline have the knowledge that you spoke about, the wealth of experience, just to then come in and give their opinions, their views, and pass on that knowledge to younger managers maybe. I think that could be an avenue for Roy, certainly. Take the pressure off him being on the sideline, but who knows, if he wants to spend time at home with the family, he certainly deserved it.
Yeah, bookmakers, Neil, never slow to find a market, are they? And already Frank Lampard is amongst the favourites there. Right, OK, they're an established Premier League club, but we've touched on the number of players they've got out of contract. So this is going to be a huge rebuilding job, you would think here. While it's attractive because it's Premier League and it's Crystal Palace, any manager coming in knows that they've got a tough job ahead of them here, do they?
Yes. Well, first and foremost, Palace has been a stable club for a long time with stable ownership. A lot of players out of contract can be a positive as well as a negative. New manager comes in, gets to put his stamp on it, but you've got to recruit in transfer window a certain amount of players to do that, and we know that doesn't come cheap. It's not one of the youngest squads in the Premier League either. They're quite an old squad, Crystal Palace. So a new manager coming in, if we're talking about something like a Frank Lampard, just use Frank as an example, might want a younger a younger thought process to his group. I think it's a great challenge for somebody, a real exciting challenge. I think it's really good timing with the turnover of players they've got this summer for somebody to come in for a fresh start. If Frank Lampard's top of the list, I can see it as a great fit. Location straight away, London. The links he's got to Chelsea, maybe thinking about taking players on loan. We talked about earlier about Tammy Abraham needing football next year, maybe. Straight away, just putting two and two together. But I think Frank would be a great fit. I thought he was doing a great job at Chelsea. I thought it was harsh to let him go when they did. Done fantastically well in his first year management at Derby County. I can see that working.
Don't apologise for putting two and two together. I like your thought process, Neil. But they've tried another Frank before. They've tried to change course and change style, haven't they? And in Frank de Boer, he lasted to not even mid-September, Simon. So is there lessons to be learnt there if you're Steve Parish and the owners of Palace?
Yes, there is, but I think there's always a case to be made for bringing in a coach from abroad, Rob, and trying to get them to hit the ground running, changing style of play, changing formation very early, bringing in a handful of players and it not working straight away. And I think Palace sensed that, Steve Parish sensed that, even in the first few games, he could see this isn't working. I think with Frank Lampard, it's a completely different scenario. Obviously, an English coach. He's coached in the Premier League very recently. He knows the players inside out. He's obviously got the links with Chelsea, as Neil spoke about. He could attract younger players for sure. But it's still a risk, of course it is. The only reason they were stable in the Premier League was because Roy Hodgson was there and you knew what you were going to get from a Roy Hodgson Crystal Palace team. Now he's left the football club, but they are a bit more unstable and vulnerable because they have to get this next appointment right. And if they don't, and they don't start the season well enough, then they could find themselves in a relegation battle very early because of the players leaving. I think almost now you have to look at their team and think, Zaha, Eze, can you build a team around them? Add some experience, some more younger players, keep those on side, and they can still be an exciting team. And certainly somebody like Frank, or even, as Neil said, Eddie Howe, Scott Parker as well. They're big names to be in the mix of a big football club still in the Premier League.
Sometimes it's a case of be careful what you wish for, isn't it, Neil? Because fans always want to be entertained. Yet Roy Hodgson was very clear when Palace maintained their Premier League status a few games ago that was the sole objective of the season. Do we have to be realistic going forward if you're Palace, the board, the fans, of what your priorities are here and not get carried away by the idea of a little bit of Brazil in southeast London, if that's not maintainable and achievable?
Yeah, I think when you look at fans, first and foremost, they talk about sitting in the pub. They talk about, we want this manager, that manager, plays great football, scores loads of goals. It's quite spectacular. But I think what you'll get with Steve Parish, Dougie Freeman, I think you'll understand their thought process will be, we need somebody that's going to first and foremost keep us in the Premier League every year. Sean Dyche at Burnley, not the sexiest of managers, but he gets the job done. Eddie Howe for a long time at Bournemouth, kept them in the Premier League, got the job done. So I think that would be their thought process of doing that first and foremost.